So this is the third part for the defensive stat. First defensive stat is the physical defense. It works like this. 10 points decreases 1 incoming physical damage. So if I have 3.3 thousand, this means I would take 330 physical attack less. Block is the next stat that we want to talk about. This is a very interesting stat, and obviously to actually use this stat you need to have a shield. Now how this works is that the block is capped at 50%. We're gonna talk about this first. The block is capped at about 50%, which means if you have more than 500 points in block more than the accuracy of the mob or character that is against you, you would be blocking with the maximum probability, or 50%. Now, what's very interesting about this is that the shields, the different shields actually have different damage reduction. For the weaker shields is like 30% if I'm not wrong, like the white ones, and then for each next type of shields like green, then gold, then eternal and so on, it becomes with 5% more. For the Eternals and Mythicals it's the same, it's 50% for both. Now enchanting the shield gives you bonus block. Enchanting it beyond 10 gives you block damage, not block rate, not block damage percent. So the maximum amount of block you can have is actually 70%. Or if a hit mob is hitting you for 1000 damage normally, it would be hitting you for only 300 when you receive a successful block, let's say. So I'm hitting this, and it's hitting me for 64 block, 280. I guess this mob is... and I blinded it, sorry. Gonna try with this one. So 51 block versus 153, which is 3 times more damage. So 27 block, 40 block, and so on. So it's very easy for someone to be blocking if they have enough stats. And this is mostly used by clerics and templars, since they are 2 of the 4 classes that can use shields. Of course, support chanters, and you would most probably never see a gladiator with shield. Now, next stat is, oh, forgot to mention, block. You can block them from any direction. Doesn't matter if you're running, let's say this mob is attacking me. If I am running like this from it, if it hits me, if it will still proc the block with the same success rate. Next stat is parry. Parry is actually the stat that each, well, not each, but some of the physical weapons have as a bonus, and all the weapons have in the main stat. Now, this is a stat that is obviously for physical classes, and I should say melee, because orbs, spellbooks, harps, ether cannons, pistols, and bows do not have parry. So only the melee weapons do have parry on them, and therefore with them you can block. You can parry. The parry is capped on 40%, not like the block on 50. Still good enough, and as a stat is decent enough. Usually the chanter and the gladiator are the ones using parry, and they are parrying relatively fine, I would say. Again, parry is parrying from all directions. It's not something that you need to be facing towards your target or something. Next stat, evasion. Evasion is the most powerful of all the three defensive attributes that prevent you from incoming damage, taking incoming damage. Because when you actually have successful evasion, you don't receive any damage at all. This stat is capped on 300 difference with your enemy. I mean, 300 more than the accuracy that your opponent has. And this is the maximum that you can evade, 30%. Of course, it's the lowest since it's the most powerful. And usually it goes like this. The game checks first for evasion. If the evasion is not successful, checks for parry. If the parry is not successful, it checks for block as last. So that's how it works. Now, next stat is critical strike resistance. This is a stat that is the counter to critical strike of the enemy, which means if you take, let's say, a guy with 963 critical is attacking me, and I have like 465 strike resist, this means he would be hitting me with 963 minus 465, or in this case 500 critical. Now in this case it would not be sufficient, but let's say someone has, I don't know, 700 critical and I have 450. This means he would be hitting me with only 250 critical rate, or yeah, I should say 25% in this case. This is the stat that prevents you from taking more frequent critical attacks. Of course, the higher the better. It's pretty hard to get strike resistance. It's usually by enchanting the gear. Sorry, it's this stat. Is usually by enchanting the gear and from the accessories. So this is what you should be looking for. Enchanting gear and taking very good accessories to have nice strike resistance. Also, the wings give you strike resistance as well, while the belt gives you strike fortitude. This is the next stat that we are going to be talking about. Now, strike fortitude is a stat that works like this. It takes out that amount of points, like each 10 points corresponds to 1% multiplier, which means for each 200 points I would take 20% less from the multiplier of the weapon. Different weapons have different weapon multipliers, and let's say, because we're gonna talk, we need example. Let's say great sword or spear. If I remember correct, their multiplier is 1.8. So if the guy that is against me is with 1.8 multiplier, it will be hitting me for a multiplier of 1.6 of his normal damage, because I have 200 strike resistance. That's how it works. Magical defense. Magical defense is a stat that is relatively stupid. The way that you get it is by enchanting gear, and not really working stat, I would say, because it's basically, it takes out from the magic attacks that you receive, like it's like the physical defense, if I'm not wrong, 10 points for one incoming point of damage. This is basically for magic attacks, auto attacks, for more hard bow, sorry, not bow, spellbook, pistol, and enter cannon. Not really worth it. to mention at all. Now, magic suppression. This is a stat that counters the magic boost of the classes. So let's say like this, I have 1.2k magic boost. Let's say my opponent have 1.2k magic boost. And then I have 1.2k magic suppression. In this case, would mean that if we take out my magic suppression out of this magic boost, it will go to 0. Or otherwise said, the person attacking me will be hitting me with 0 magic boost, or he will be hitting me with only the damage that his spell is doing as base damage. Of course, magic classes have much more magic boost. Let's say a sorcerer could have 4000 magic boost. And as I have this magic suppression, he would be hitting me with approximately, how much? 2721. This is almost the cap, which we talked earlier, it's 2.9, but not the cap. So I would be reducing slight a bit of damage. Magic classes, however, quads, leathers, and even chains have more suppression than the plates, so they would be reducing more. Quads can have up to like 2.3, 2.4 even magic suppression, and under some kind of spells even higher. So you have to have that in mind. Now, the next stat that we're going to talk about is the magic resist. Magic resist is the stat that is countering the magic accuracy. Now, this is capped on 50%. Before it was totally broken, but now it's capped on 50%, which means if you have more than 500 points more magic resist than your opponent magic accuracy, you would be resisting with the maximum probability. Now, there are some spells that are specific and they do not follow that rule, but in the general case, it's like this. Next stat, critical spell resistance. This is much like the critical strike resistance, just for magical spells. aka this is the stat that we take out from the crit spell of your opponent and we see with what probability he would be hitting you. Spell fortitude, pretty much the same like crit strike fortitude. Again, takes the multiplier out of the spell and decreases the incoming spell damage. Those stats here are very, very important. Fire, wind, water, earth. They're very hard to get in this game. Like, you get them only from passives, certain buffs, and scrolls. This is about it. Most classes have 0. Temper has 30. Quads have 100. And this is about it. So each 100 points of or let's say each 1 point of elemental resistance gives you 1.3% defense against that same stat. Now, there are some speculations that is, well, not speculations, I would say there are the theory that it's 1 to 1 and 1 to 1.3. To be honest, I almost didn't test this, but I would go with 1.3. Later on, if I'm gonna add edit if there is if I'm wrong. So this means that if you have, for example, let's say I would have 130 fire resist. This means I would be taking around 100 and, I don't know, like 15% less fire from fire spells. Same works for each of the elements. Okay, this is about the visible stats.